Sometimes it's crazy to hear things out loud. I will preface this by saying, like, we did not intend to match. We just like hopped on really quickly before, like we're clearly connected. But we wanted to share a little bit first about like why either of us were even seeking a success partner, because we really both were before when we found each other, and it was for different reasons. So, and then we'll talk about how we found each other, some tips on that, and and then our vision. But I know for me, I don't have an active upline. My upline died out about a year into my business, which I was like, made me scared. But it gave me the opportunity to grow into like a leader myself. I was like, it turned out to be the biggest blessing in hindsight, but she was like a 5-star elite coach. She had all the team calls, like she had all of the, just the everything. And so I was like, well, crap, like this was like my part-time thing. I'm like, now I got to lead this team. And it really left me feeling less than for a very long time. And so it was a blessing because, like I said, I was able to kind of give my own team culture and make what I wanted out of it. But there was a point in my business when I did know that I wanted to scale, right? That it became more than just wanting to be like a side gig or a part, just to help with, and I'll go into kind of my vision in the end. But like at the beginning, it was like I had 3 kids. They were all in full-time daycare. I had twins in diapers, wipes, and formula. It was like for the extra money, right? I had a career. I was a PT, I had my master's. I was never going to leave that because I had the benefits. My husband was in the restaurant business. When I got life changed and I got to a point where I needed to change my business for a different reason for my life, I was like, I need someone to help me level up. It's like I wanted to buy an upline almost, like, you know what I mean? I was like, I see all these, like back in the day, I saw like Ashley Locke, all these top 10 coaches that were like giving their teams these resources. And I was like, well, who's going to help me level up? Right? Like I need somebody. So for me, when I was searching for success partner, like that was the reason. I was like, I love my team and they help me grow as a leader because I know I need to lead them, but like who's going to help me move the needle up in my business from a comparable level, right? Like somebody that's going to challenge me to do that. So that's why I was searching for a success partner.
And I think what's really cool about Christina and I is we have totally different stories. Like our backgrounds are so different. The way we run our businesses are so different. But we'll get into a little bit later, like why we work so well being so different, because I was looking for a success partner for totally different reasons than that. I mean, what she said, yes, I agree, all of that. Oh, someone's unmuted. But my reasoning for looking for a success partner is because I wanted community. When I started as a Beachbody coach, I was a lonely stay-at-home mom who just needed friendships of other women who were living a similar life than me. And as you guys know, leadership can be very lonely. And so here I was, a brand new coach doing all of these big things. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so alone. Like I thought this would make me feel like good, getting all these accolades. And then I realized like, wow, leadership is lonely. I need community of other leaders, not just my downline who's going to just really be there for me in a way that I needed. And so a lot of the stuff that I talk about in my business is very community-based because that is ultimately what I was looking for. And I wanted community specifically of other leaders to start running groups with. I realized that I couldn't count on my downline to run groups with me because they just were not at the level that I was. They weren't as responsible. They maybe would fall through on some of the things that they had to do. And I just was not willing to put my business on the line for things that my downline coaches were doing. And so I was looking for community and women to really be leaders with and run groups with. And so, Christina, you want to talk about how we found each other?
Yeah. So I know, again, different reasons, but all the same. And ironically, community was like the last thing I thought I needed when I started this business. Cause I was like, I already like do fitness, nutrition. I'm a homebody. I could not talk to anyone for like the pandemic. I was like, yes, I can like hide out. And community is really what changed my life like the most about this. And especially people like Morgan, and I like journal my gratitude for it every day. So like because I was looking for someone to help me level up, I was constantly leaning into like things like this, right? Like corporate chats, corporate threads. My grandmother coach is Lindsay Matway. And so she had like dynasty thread, which the dynasty is enormous, right? But I was like, I'm going to be present in that dynasty thread. Like I'm going to be present like wherever I can. So whenever there was anything like I was involved in, and Lindsay and I, like we don't communicate regularly, but she was my sounding board if I needed anything. anything. So I would be like, you don't know me, but like, I would literally shoot her a message when I needed something, because I had nowhere else to go. Like, no, I mean, I had a corporate mentor, but I didn't have anyone like actually in the business, because she was my grandmother. And I was so scared at first. I was like, she's Lindsay Matway, right? And I didn't utilize her team resources. Like, I didn't dive into any of that, because that was like too big, right? I didn't want to bring my team into this like sea of a million fishes, but I would occasionally reach out to her if I was just like for whatever. So she knew that I was someone out there like aggressively wanting to work a business, even though I was like a 1-star or 2-star at the time, because I did that. And she even, I spoke on Morgan. I actually spoke on one of her Superstar Series calls. And that's one of the things she said. She's like, I just knew you two were out there, like wanting to, I was like a sponge. I was like, I was wanting to absorb anything I could from above, because I lacked that, right? Like I lacked that. So I basically just leaned into chat threads, like leaned into communities, leaned into that sort of stuff. And that's actually how Morgan and I found each other, because we were in a combined like greater dynasty thread. And then she can share like what she put out there, what I responded to, and kind of how we came together.
Yeah, so same for me. I try to stay active in chats, but I am not afraid to put myself out there. And so what I did was I wrote in Lindsay Matway's Dynasty chat thread with like the Fitzpatricks and Bonnie Engel and all these intimidating people that like I was so scared to talk to. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my fear aside and I'm going to put a post in this like crazy Dynasty top coach chat, even though I'm like so scared to talk in front of all these people. And I just put a post out there that was probably pretty lengthy that explained exactly who I was looking for and what I was looking for in a success partner. I've had a couple success partners in the past that didn't work out, and we'll kind of chat to you about why some relationships never worked out. And Christina responded to me, and the rest has been history ever since. So it's kind of funny that like, it's easy to stay silent on this side of the screen and not partake in activity with the chats and all that stuff, because I know it can be overwhelming when those chat threads are blowing up, but there really is so much good that comes out of them, whether that's resources like Ashley said, or just putting yourself out there to state exactly what you're looking for and what you want. And so because I was so specific, I was like, didn't want to do the thing that I did last time, where I was like, I found a success partner and we just kind of met, like didn't work out together. And so I was like, I'm just going to get really effing specific about what I'm looking for. And maybe someone will respond and maybe not. That's okay. And Christina responded and we just kind of started going from there.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting, and I love what Ronnie said about being okay putting yourself out there, is like, this business has grown me into like I still say an extroverted introvert, because I feel like I'm okay doing that on the side of the screen. But like, I remember when she did that and I was like, what if I write this? And she's like, I'm not interested in like partnering with you. Right. Like that was my fear. Like if I put myself out there, like I want a success partner too. What if she was like, because our stories were not parallel, like she said, like, what if she was like, yeah, you're not my type. Right. Like, and so like, I really kind of equate, and I too had some success, like 2 success partners that I attempted before that did not work out. One, still a really good friend of mine. Like she's not even in the business. We were such good friends, but that does not make a good success partnership, right? Like we loved to chat about our workouts. We loved to chat about our nutrition. We loved to chat about our business, but we would end up complaining about like just the things that we were not solution oriented. We were not challenging each other to grow. We were just kind of like the business bestie friends who could like relate because our teams were going through similar things, but we weren't like this productive partnership that like I now know exists because I found Morgan. So, and then I had somebody else that just didn't have the same goals in the business. So like, it just wasn't, we were just on different work stuff, like just completely separate pages. So when I always talk about success partnerships, it really, and this is cliche, but it is that analogy of dating. Like number one, you have to be willing to put yourself out there, right? Because if not, like you won't find anybody. And that was really hard for me and Morgan, obviously. But then also you have to like test the waters and just understand that a couple dates, like, and even like my other success partner was like probably a year, and it wasn't giving me what I needed. And I honestly didn't even know what a success partnership could do, because I just thought that was it. I have this business person I check in with every day, but like I didn't know what it meant to be I like to say like a productive partnership.
Yeah. And I think some of the reasons why I had 2 past success partners didn't work out is because we were too similar, and we found ourselves trying to be like each other because we had such similar stories that it didn't end up working out, because we were either trying to be too similar, or maybe there was like, I don't know, I hate to say this, like jealousy between each other because we were so similar. And so the reason that Christine and I really worked well together is because we lead our businesses totally different. Like the way she leads her business is the complete opposite of how I lead my business. But what we come together in similarities is our work ethic and our drive. And we believe that that is the most important thing that you can find in a success partner. Is you don't have to have the same home life. You don't have to be at the same rank. What you need is someone who's working at the same pace as you, someone who has similar drive and work ethic and is going at the same pace. Because if you have a success partner who's maybe not as goal oriented or as driven as you're going to feel like you're constantly trying to pull them along. Where me and Christina, we're constantly leveling each other up the whole time. Like this year, we both had pretty big rank advancements in our business. And I don't know about you, Christina, but I can probably say, I don't know if that would have happened if it wasn't for the relationship with you. Like, I feel like we just were constantly leveling each other up. And because we shared that same drive and work ethic, we were able to, set goals together, even though our goals were so different in how we were running our business. And we had accountability with each other. We knew that, she was relying on me and I was relying on her to be that sounding board. And so we do some things together that we figured we'd share just to kind of get you guys some ideas of how you can be working in a success partner relationship. I'll share a couple. One is that Christina and I work together every single day at 5 a.m. We do a power hour Monday through Friday, and it is the best accountability. And what's cool about this is, again, we're so different. Christina, she's up at 5 a.m. no matter what, because that's just who she is. Where me, I need the accountability to be up at 5 a.m. every day. And so that's, to me, one of the best things that we do together is we hold each other accountable to get up and get an hour or two of work in before our children wake up and we have to start the craziness of getting the kids out the door to school and all that good stuff. And then on top of that, we help each other out with team calls. We lead a team call together once a month. So one team call a month, and then the rest we're doing on our own. So those are some things we're doing together. Christine, you want to share the other ones?
Yeah. And I was just sharing in the chat that our like morning power hours, it's like an open Zoom for all of our teams too. So it's not just the two of us, like it just shows our teams that we're up there. So like we'll share in our stories, like, so our teams will see like they're up working, like the leaders are up working, and then it's open for them to join into, and we encourage them to do that. But a couple of the other things that we do, and kind of like Morgan referenced, she was looking for someone to run groups with, is we run groups together. And so if we're going to do, what's typically like to build emeralds or to build diamonds or specific like social media trainings, right? Like we've done like a top tips with top coaches, and we bring on other coaches. Like Janine was on with one of us one time, and it was so great because it's like our teams know the two of us, but we'll also bring in other faces and other leaders that we connect with in the business. And then, like Morgan said, you don't have to work exactly the same, but I find who I connect with is people that share the same values, right? They just share the same value for like why they're here and why they're running their business. And like that value can be different. Like, it's like, what value does the business bring to your life? Like, again, different for each of us, but just finding other people and other leaders. And then it continues to create that web of community, like Morgan said. And for me, who's an introvert, it was so interesting to me at leadership, because Morgan's like, around the pool, like talking to everyone. And I was like, I know you from like the, mastermind. And so it is so funny. So it's nice to like bring in other people, right? To like fresh energy, to bring our teams like fresh outlook. We've done, I know we talked on this mastermind, if you like, even in Q4 about like our Impact Academy and like how we brand things differently to get, and the beauty of that is that as we're now, which we'll talk about vision, moving forward into 2022, we get to together reflect like what went well in these groups. Like in the beginning of last year, we noticed our teams were not responding to like push groups. Like if it was a push to this or a push to that, it was not happening. So we kind of rebranded our stuff. That like our diamond was like, our emerald was like, here we grow, right? It's basically like, let's start growing your business. Our diamond group was called Made for More. It's like, okay, now I know I'm like made for a little bit more than this level, right? And then we've done things like that Impact Academy, which were great, but we're in hindsight, we're like way too long. Like everyone checked out after week 3. So will we do another 5 or 6 week group this year? Probably not, right? But what they did respond well to was like a daily check-in for the account. So we were able to kind of now take what did and didn't work in 2021 and move that forward into 2022, which will help for both of us, for our teams. But as I transition into talking about vision, I think what's really important, because it's one thing to like help your team with vision, but as leaders, Morgan and I have both, and I've been a vision, like vision has been my jam since the beginning. And I always talk a lot about it because it's what's helped me stay here. And so I think that you have to allow your vision to grow with you, because kind of like I said, I walked into the business with zero intention of making it a full-time anything. I wanted the extra money and I loved working out and I loved sharing it with other people, because I did not come in for the business. I loved health and fitness. Like I liked that health and fitness could bring me income, right? Like I wasn't looking for this huge business growth. My passion, came from healthcare. Like my passion is like the working out and the eating right. And so what started for me as a wanting to share that, then a couple years into the business turned into my sister getting diagnosed with cancer, like not once, but twice, having to travel to a different state to be with her, asking for time off, all of these things that made me recognize that even though I love my PT job, I didn't love the life that it allowed me to live. And all of a sudden I had a new view of what this business could offer me. So, but if I didn't let my vision grow with me, I would have just said, well, I'm not here for like the paycheck anymore. Screw the paycheck. I just need to be with my sister. And I almost dropped this. Like, that's actually when I almost quit, because I was like, I can't be a parent raising 3 kids, working full time, supporting my sister, helping raise her kids, and still do this job. If I kept my tunnel vision on, like, is this paying for diapers and wipes? Because we were past that stage, right? So my vision had to grow to all of a sudden, I'm like, she's in the hospital and I want to be sitting at the side of her bed with a laptop, right? And I want to be traveling to Boston to be with her during her transplant and not asking my boss and like hoping people can cover me at work and feeling guilt over that. So like my vision had to grow. So when I do vision exercises with my team, because I probably talk too much about vision, like the one thing I always tell people to do is to map out your ideal 24-hour day. Because I mean, vision boards to me are I'm a very like in the moment thinker. Like it's great to have vision boards, but that's not what motivates me. So for me, it was like, what time do I want to wake up? Do I want to wake up at 5 a.m., 4:30 a.m., 3:45 when I was doing 80-day obsession to freaking eat my pudding? And it's like, and do I want to, I was rushing my kids out the door. Mommy's got to go. Mommy's got to go. It was like, I needed to be at work by 7:30. I needed 3 kids out with breakfast in hand at daycare. I would like rush them along. If they needed an extra hug, I would be like, no, right? Like, so I could punch in on time. My husband worked nights, so he was sleeping. And then I was doing the nighttime routine by myself. So like, that's not the life I wanted to live anymore. But like when I didn't have this in my back pocket, I didn't know there was anything else. I just thought I was going to punch the clock to get the benefits and the paycheck until I died. Right. So this was like a freaking gift to me. And so I asked people to say, like, what's your ideal day? Like, do you want to wake up? Like, it would give me agita in the morning. Like, do you want to wake up feeling rushed and rushing your kids out the door? Or do you want to have breakfast around the table with them? Because that was like my first goal in this business, was to cut back an hour in the morning to have breakfast with my kids, right? Then during your day, how many hours do you want to work? Do you want to work 8 hours, or would you rather work 4, right? Around your own schedule. What do you want to do for lunch? Do you want to sit quietly in your house? Like now for me, it's my only peace versus being at work with people complaining about their job, right? What do you want to do at night? Do you want to be like present with your family, or do you want to be like just trying to shove everyone to bed because you have to get up in the morning? So like, even though we don't think we can design our day, we can. It doesn't happen overnight, but that was my aha, that like this business gave me the chance to do that. Like even when my sister got better, we live on the same street. She works from home. She was like walking outside in the fresh air. And I'm like, I'd love to just go for a walk with my sister in the middle of the day. Right. Like so for me, it was like those things that were driving me to get up and to work and driving my vision. It was the day, because it's like, you live your day to day every day. I mean, having a dream vacation or a car or home is awesome. Like it's stuff is on my vision board too. But like, if I could use this opportunity to change what my day-to-day life looked like that was so much more meaningful. But I think I just will piggyback that by saying, like, you have to do that through every season of your business. You could do it quarterly, you could do it yearly, because what I needed my day to look like before my sister got sick was very different than what I needed to look now, right? If you're raising infant toddlers, or toddlers, like that might look different than what you need your day-to-day to look like now that my 3 kids are in sports and we're running around all the time at night. So it's like, you have to revisit this day-to-day, this ideal 24-hour day every year, for sure, in January, but you might want to do it a couple times if you're going through different seasons of life, right? Because life changes. So what you need for your day is going to be different, but I will promise you that like this opportunity can give you that. It just might mean you working a little bit differently, right? You showing up to your business a little bit differently, you tailoring your goals and that kind of stuff a little bit differently, because we're all here for the life we want to create, right? Like not just the business that we want to create. So that's like my big piece on vision. And then Morgan can share her.
Yeah. So instead of sharing my vision, I'm going to share with you guys my lack of vision, and we're just going to have a real moment here together. And I'm going to be honest with you guys and say that in Q4, this past Q4, I feel like I completely lost my vision for my business. I don't know if you guys have ever been in this place where you're like, oh my God, why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why am I pouring my time and effort into this? Like, what am I doing? And you guys, I'm going to be honest, like, that's where I was in Q4. Like, I got home from leadership and was all hyped up. And then probably like 2 weeks later, that's when like I fell back down and I was like, oh, don't know what I'm doing or why I'm here. And so I don't know if any of you guys have dealt with being in a place in your business where you're like, I don't know anymore. Like, I don't know what I'm pushing for or what I'm doing. And so I want to share with you guys just a little bit of what I did to find my vision again, because I'll be honest, I was in a place where I was doubting myself as a leader. I was doubting whether coaching was for me. I was talking to my husband about maybe I don't need coaching. Maybe these 3 years was 3 years to have fun. And maybe I'm just, maybe I just need to quit coaching and just, refocus into mom life. And so looks like a lot of you guys have been in this place before where you really lose sight of what you're doing. And for me, as like someone who's so goal oriented and so goal driven and so like set, I would have never thought that I'd find myself in this place. Honestly, like Morgan Q3 would have never been like, yeah, Morgan Q4 is going to be struggling and suffering. Like I would have never thought that. And then it happened. And I had all these feelings, and having a success partner relationship is so special because I was open with Christina about the way I was feeling, and she really helped me kind of like talk me off the ledge. Like she knew ultimately I didn't want to quit. I was just, in a place where I had to reevaluate my vision and where I was. So I want to share with you guys what I did to refine my vision. That way, if any of you guys are feeling similar ways or just not sure why you're showing up anymore, maybe this will help you. Maybe not. I don't know. But I had to ask myself some questions. It's funny because Christina was like saying how her vision, like Christina, her vision's her thing. Vision's not really my thing. Like I don't really feel super comfortable always talking about it. But I had to get down and ask myself the dirty questions because my season of life was changing. My husband's an entrepreneur who makes great money. And so for me personally, I'm not here for financial benefits. It's more of like a passion project for me. And so the questions that I asked myself that really helped me refocus was, first of all, this is the most important thing that I think really helped me figure out again why I was here, was I asked myself, what are my current frustrations? Like when I was contemplating, like maybe coaching isn't for me, maybe I'm just a bad leader, that's why my team is quitting on me. I had to sit down and say, my life isn't perfect. What are my current frustrations in my life that I'm facing right now? And that was one of the most impactful questions, I think, that really helped me understand, how I could change and how I could refocus a new vision. Was what were my current frustrations within my ordinary mundane life? What's causing friction in my day-to-day, and what could I change? And so really simmering on that question helped me realize that, okay, there are things that I want to change in my life. There are things that I want to be working towards when I felt like I don't know what I'm working towards. The next question that I asked myself was, if time and money wasn't an issue, what does my ideal day look like start to finish? How do I feel? Where do I live? What am I envisioning my life to look like 3 years from now? And I think this question is important because, as we grow as leaders, we're going to be knocking those things off our vision board. And that's kind of where I was. I was like, well, I knocked off all my vision board things. Like, I don't know what I'm working towards now. Like, I don't know. Like, I got the car that I wanted. We're purchasing the land to build our house. Like, now what? I don't know what. And so looking at this question just really helped me realize that, okay, maybe the vision boards that I've done in the past, like, great, knock those off, but now there's more. There's more things that I want to add to my life. And so if time and money wasn't an issue, what would that ideal day look like? Next, what I did was I brain dumped all of the desires of my heart. Like I sat down for like a straight hour and I was like, what do I want? For me, that looked like I want to live a life of generosity. I want to live a life where I can go to a restaurant and drop a $500 tip to a waitress. That looked like I want to be able to get to do vacations and go away with my family. And, I want community and local events. And so really having the chance to brain dump just the desires of my heart helped me refocus to realize like Beachbody can still help me reach those things that I want. And maybe it's not what I wanted the first 3 years of my business, but now year 3 and on, it's going to change. And then what I did was, after I brain dumped all the stuff, I broke those things into categories. I'll list for you guys quickly just what those categories were. I broke it into family, home, and experiences. I then broke it into marriage, relationships, and motherhood. I broke it into health and how I want to feel mentally, emotionally, and physically. I broke it into business, career impact, and purpose. And then my last category was income, finances, future wealth, freedom, and security. And so I took everything that I brain dumped and I broke it into those categories. And that really helped me see that there was more that I wanted, like, just because I knocked off my vision board things from the first 3 years doesn't mean that there still isn't more out there for me. And so going through this activity really helped me realize that the things I was chasing the first 3 years are not the things that I'm chasing after now. And I had to take the time to really sit down and refocus on what those things were that I wanted, because I found myself in a place where I was lost. I didn't know what my vision was anymore. I didn't know what I was working towards. And so what I then did was, after I broke it into the categories, I basically wrote my story. My story of who Morgan was going to be 3 to 5 years from now. And I wrote it in third person, like as I was writing a story. And I went through all the things that I just spoke of. And then what I did was I recorded it on my phone in a voice note. And now I listen to that every single morning as I start my 5 a.m. Routine. And so I hope that was helpful. You guys, I did not make up those questions. It came from the Michael Folsom podcast. She has a podcast that's like, what's your vision? Or I don't know, I forget the title, but I can post it later. But this just really, really, really helped me refocus my vision and realize that, I didn't, Beachbody was still an option for me, because I truly felt like I was going to quit in December of 2021. And here I am, January 2022, with a whole new vision and different excitement and things that are going to help me grow in a way that maybe I wasn't growing the first 3 years. So hope that was helpful.
Morgan, I love that. Love it. The one thing I will add too, and I know this has helped me when I've been like tempted to quit sometimes too, is like, sometimes we think about what do we want from this business, but sometimes I have to like step back and think about like, what would my life be like without it? Like if I did decide to quit today, like the things that I don't necessarily think of every day that I'm grateful for and I'm benefiting from, like the friends and like the this, because, it's like, what would my life like if I didn't have my group, my freaking challenge group to check into, right? Like those little things that like that really fill our cups and like fill our lives, that like I think we have to recognize, yeah, like maybe we just need to refocus on what we're doing and not so much about what we were here for, right? Like what it brings to your life and all that. And I think when I talked about sharing the same values with someone, like that's something Morgan and I do very well, even though we're like maybe here for a different reason. It's like we both decided like this year, like we're setting, even though it might be like not a huge, like we both had huge growth years last year. This might not be a growth year, but like what if this is like recreating the culture of the team that we want now in 2022, right? Like maybe we're not bringing on tons of people, but we're bringing on the right people that will like share our goals and our vision and our values. And so like we're building, like Margaret said, the communities and like laying the foundation now for like the people that have quit, because we both had diamonds quit and we both had this happen last year. And that's why I think we were both in such a slump, but we're like, that's opening the door now to like find the people that we want to grow with in this next phase of our business, because in 3 years that might be different again. So we've both just kind of talked about like, let's just bring it back to like the joy, right? The things that bring us joy, the type of people we love to work with and have in our teams, like the type of people we want, speak to those people through our social media, right? Like speak to the woman that we want to join our team or the clients that we want to serve very clearly, so that like we maintain our joy instead of feeling like we're trying to drag people along or like wondering why they're quitting on us. Maybe they just weren't the right people, and maybe they're just not, maybe they were at the time, but they're also not the right people for where we see our vision going now. So I think like that is, we've both decided like this year is just quality over quantity, like joy over like hustle culture, like all of those things that will just, I think sometimes are what will prevent someone from having longevity in this business, right? When we get like lost a little bit on that, when it becomes all about the elite points or the rank or the hustle. I mean, those things are all awesome. Like, don't get me wrong, love all the privileges of that sort of stuff. But if you ever lose your joy and your vision, like that means nothing, because you won't be here for that anyway. Like, so that's kind of where we both are right now.
So good. And Morgan, I mean, Christina, first of all, thank you girls for like just being so vulnerable. I mean, most of you that are on the call, like Lots of head nods saying, absolutely, that happened to me this past year. So just so appreciate your vulnerability and sharing that, because that's not easy to share. It is not easy to share. And I know, just corporately, we didn't have a good year, right? Like it's not, that, but for you to just state that and those, opportunities and challenges, but how many of you, I can't tell you how many of you have thought this past year, like maybe I do, maybe I was interested in or thought about quitting. Like how many of you, right? How many of you thought about that? But, and that's where, it kind of just brings it full circle to say, okay, well, what truly brings you joy in this business? So really evaluating that. Need more honesty, without a doubt. So, okay. Christina, Morgan, thank you again. Do you guys have any specific questions? And I know, you can post it in the chat, but anyone have any specific questions for these two real quick before we kind of open it up to the greater group about sharing vision? So tell me this, and this can be for anyone. How many of you have shared your vision with your team so far? Okay. And how did you do that? And I'm going to open it up for those that you just raise your hand, just if you would, because I know there's some leaders that are on the call that have not shared the vision with their team yet. So for those of you that have shared it with your team, what did that look like? How did you do that? Okay. So Nicole, live on team page, team call. So tell us more about that. Where are you? Oh, there you are. I'm like, where's Nicole? Oh, there you are.
Yeah, I just popped in live in my team page and I talked about last year. I talked about how I really took a step back in the second half and that I took full responsibility for us not hitting our goals and for, me not being the leader that I wanted to be, and just how I wanted to, be as present as possible and give my team the resources and, be their biggest cheerleader this year, and to just really inspire leaders. Like that is my biggest goal, is to truly inspire leaders. It's not necessarily 10-star or 15-star that I'm going after, because every time I've done that, I have gotten in this like negative space. So for me, it's about, reaching down, far down into my downline and saying, okay, I see you, you're killing it. I know you have big goals. Like, how can I help you? And just letting my entire team know that I'm here for them, not just my PS coaches. And I, had a heart to heart with my team on a team call with the same message. So it was same message, just two different places. Went in my team page just for the people that didn't pop on the team call.
Okay. Thanks, Nicole. And, at the end of the day, each individual coach, whether it be your PS coach or not, they've got to see the benefits of your vision before they're going to commit to it. Right? Like they got to see the benefits. Think about a puzzle, putting a puzzle together. It's like you've got to include them in your vision for the team. And I know you've got your own personal vision for, what that looks like for you, but how are you including your team with your vision? And then how do you continue to reinforce that? Because it's one thing for us to kick it off at the beginning of the year, like setting the goal, setting your vision, and goals and visions are two different things, but setting the tone. But then what are you doing to reinforce that? So team calls, I love it. Live videos, vision boarding. What else are you guys doing to share and really, cascade that vision with your team? And how are you including them?
One of the things that I decided to do, because last year was such a crap year, probably towards like the last half, I have the same feelings that like Nicole had. I was just like, I don't know what was going on with me, but I was not showing up as the leader, the mentor, the friend, even that I needed to be to the women that I had in my team and in my community that I had created and that I was so excited about. And we didn't hit the goals that we had set for ourselves. And it was such a bummer not getting that call. And I know it's not about getting the call, but what I really wanted to take away from that was the feelings that I felt and understand what I needed to do to reflect and regroup on that. And so I literally have my notebook where I wrote out every single person on my team and in my downline that had played an active role in our team. And I sent them an individual voice message. And I was like, hey, I want to let you know that I see you. I'm so thankful for you. Here's kind of where I'm at right now. And I apologize to every single person for not showing up the way that I needed to. Cause I wasn't like, you've got to do those things, right? We can lead a horse to water, but we can't make him drink, but we also can make sure that we're showing up as the coach that we want to be and as the leader and mentor that we need to be as well. And so it took me a while to do that. But I really wanted to do that because I wanted to let them know that I was there for them wherever they were at and meeting them where they were at, because it really helped me get an understanding of the struggles that they were going through, what they needed help with. And a lot of them responded really positively of like, listen, last year was a crazy year, but I want this still. And there were people who are like, listen, I don't really want this. So it helped me gauge where I was at with my foundation for the start of this year so that we could kind of go from there and understand that I am in a rebuild year right now. And it is so great to be doing those things to find joy. And so I just got to figure out what that looks like for my team. And so one of the things I think I'm going to be doing as well, after doing our vision call tonight, is I'm just going to put a little short form in my team page of like, just understanding where they're at, what they need, what brings them joy in this business, and just doing more of that, because I love the women on my team. This time last year, we were all getting super hyped to go on our first retreat where we had 20 plus girls in a room together, learning together. And we don't have that this year, which is a bummer. But I feel like we go through it sometimes with coaching. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
No, that's so good. So Haley, I have a quick question for you. So you apologize, for not showing up, right? Like being the leader. So how did they respond?
I mean, I took it as they responded really positively to it. They understood what I was going through, even though I didn't really know what the heck was going on. But I think a lot of them were going through a lot of that too, and just not finding what brings them excitement and what brings them happiness with coaching. It just became too much. They didn't know how to manage it, right? They're like, oh my gosh, life is happening. We're going back to work and we have to work now, right? And I had so many of my diamond coaches have babies, and they were just like, you know what? I got to step into motherhood, which is totally fine. And I know everyone does it differently, but I also know that those are the same women that told me while they were pregnant that I really want to be able to stay at home with my baby. I don't want to have to go to work. And I didn't do a great job of helping them cast that vision and game plan to make it happen. And I told them that. And again, I can't make them do anything or force them to work their business, but I can be there guiding them and supporting them through it. So I think it went really well. And like I said, it was time consuming, and I'm not the total community driven type of individual. I'm not like a, let's braid each other's hair, kumbaya type of person, but I love my people. I really do. I'm an Enneagram 6. And so I'm loyal to my core, to my people. And so I want to make sure that they know that, and that I'm here for them regardless of what's going on.
I have a really interesting idea, and it was something that now I'm wishing I had done and might actually turn around and do in my team page. But I feel like we all have down pat doing vision board calls or creating dream boards or whatever. We do it on an individual level. But what about creating a team vision board? What about saying, like, rather than you hitting your goals, my goals, like what about creating a vision board for your team in an editable Canva graphic where you guys can pick 3 main goals? Like, for example, my team collaborated on goals that we had for the year. And one of them was doing like a monthly event where we could get together, where the local people could come. And at some point we have a whole calendar for the year. We pick dates, we picked ideas. Like, we have knitting and noodles. One of our coaches makes these crazy, huge, amazing blankets. We're going to do a pasta bar and everybody bring, you know what I mean? But we have it all scheduled out for the year so that if someone from Texas wants to fly in for the weekend for one of our events, she can, but just spending more time together. And so underneath each of those goals, creating an action item list, even if it's 3 things or 5 simple things that the coaches can each individually do to help the team achieve that big goal. I don't know, thought.
I love that. And I love the examples that you gave too, because I feel like we try and convey that when we're doing these big vision calls for teams, right? And we want everybody to write down their individual goals. And we're like, what's our team goal, right? But it's like, let's actually make bullet points of what that's going to look like, right? And then one of the things I put in the chat was like the number of lives changed. I used to put that on my Success Club board every month of like change 50 lives collectively as a team. But what would that look like for us to hit 1,000 lives changed in 2022? Like, that's a massive goal that everybody gets to play a part in. So now it's when you're hitting Success Club, it's not, all right, cool, we're on the leaderboard for Success Club, which is awesome. But it's like, we all just changed collectively 45 lives this month. You know, that's insane.
I love that. I was going to say on our team call Sunday night, it was a lot of what you guys were saying, like, what do we want to collab on together? But the biggest thing that I think that helped, because I had a funky last 6 months too. We all did, right? We're all kind of like, yeah, first half was great. Second half was funky. So I told the team, like, I want to look at this year in semesters, like we were back in school. And like, because we all know that this beginning semester, January through May, is so different than that summer semester, which is also so different from the fall semester. And so what we did on Sunday is we're like, I asked the question, what do we want for each other and for our team in this first semester? And we could all visualize what our life is like in the next 4 or 5 months, as opposed to what our life is like in August. And it was really, really helpful. And then I just jot down everything that they talked about. And I love your idea of the team vision board, because it's like, oh, we just talked about all that stuff and now giving a visual. I think that's really, really smart. But us thinking in semester, it almost like took this pressure off of everyone too. And everyone got excited and started talking. Whereas a lot of times, like even like the newer coaches just sit there and listen because they're like, we have no idea. But they can say what would be helpful next week, or the type of training that they would want, or what type of community we want to create. And it's almost like we're trying to recreate culture right now. And like you said, Haley, like it starts with me. I needed a lot of recreating in my own mind and re-energy. And so it felt good to get on and kind of say, I don't know, I got a little funky, but now we're recreating culture. And everyone's like, yeah, me too, me too, me too. Kind of like this. It's like when we all are like, oh, good, we're not alone. It makes you feel re-energized. So I love those tips.
Yeah, another team goal, I think for me, it would be like 10 diamonds in my downline by summit. You know, not 10 personally sponsored coaches, but 10 diamonds in my downline, and putting a graphic up of all of the faces and everybody getting there. I just kicked off like a diamond apprenticeship on Monday, and I threw that in the chat. I grabbed 10 ladies who have been hitting Success Club that are at least Emerald, if not like 4 coaches. And I think just having their picture on our team page, I think I've struggled a lot in the past with just focusing on my PS coaches and like my PS goals, like 10 star, 15 star. But we all know that volume comes from down, right? It comes from down within our downline. And even though I might not be 10 star or 15 star this year, like that diamond down below is powerful for income and just bringing up other leaders.
Nicole, so good. So good. That's one of the things that I noticed from coming from our Diamond Fields to here. It's, and we do that ourselves, like, right. With the whole, road to elite, we do that ourselves, where it's all about your PS coaches. What about those others that are not your PS coaches that ultimately, to your point, Nicole, drive and help your volume? So at the end of the day, I love that. That's so great. And it's not just your PS coaches, it's everyone in your downline. So yes. Okay, Nicole, thank you.
Can I say something, Wendy, about that? Because like with the whole road to elite change, something that I always go back to is like what gets recognized gets repeated, right? What gets recognized gets repeated. And so I love the shift on focus to like more team builders, more team leaders, like the things that they're now recognizing we're applying for elite. But I personally think one of the faults with our system then is what gets recognized gets repeated. What gets recognized, like Success Club, right? Rank. If that's not what we're recognizing is going to build the depth in our organizations now, like, then probably people should have something more than a block for their desk that they're getting at those road to elite milestones. Those are awesome. I didn't even know they existed before. I did, you know what I mean? So it's like, if we're saying now we're going to base the entire elite system on building up team builders, team leaders, premier leaders, et cetera, what gets recognized gets repeated. Like until you get to premier, you don't get recognized really at anything. So it's like, what are we doing from a corporate standpoint to shift that push to say, we're not only going to recognize like people that are hitting Success Club, right? Like it's all stars in this. It's like, so you could help 3 people forever and not build any sort of depth in this business. Right. And so I just personally, when that whole change with Road to Elite came out, like that was my first thought. Well, how is Beachbody going to shift now? This is what we want. We're saying this is what's going to drive organizations, drive volume, drive, income, drive this. But it's like a block when you hit it is not recognizable enough I think, to make someone say, I want to hit team builder or team, like, how am I going to go to my team and say, like, let's get you to team builder? It's like, maybe they don't have that vision of a league, that because they don't even think it's possible because they're self-limiting and everything. But it's like, they know they get recognized for Success Club because they get a monthly thing. They get a, you know what I mean? They get a hat, they get a this, they get a that. So like, that was personally a thought that I had when we shifted that. It's like, okay, so what are we going to do differently to like try to get this behavior repeated? And to me, that means like changing our recognition system. And I know that sounds like huge, but that was just a thought that came through my head.
Yep. Yep. And that's a big.
I know that. And that's why I was like, I probably shouldn't even say anything, but it just made me think, like, if this is where we're going forward with the whole elite program, like, how are we as team, going into saying toward, like, we can say all the time the benefits of Success Club, right? Like, you get the prizes, you get the recognition, all-star legend, success starter test groups in this. But it's like, so now as leaders, we want to bring up team builders and team leaders and whatever, like, we should be recognizing them, on the wake-up call with different type of reward than the block for the deck. Like, I just think we need to make, if we're going to make the whole elite program based on it, I just personally think it needs to be a little bit bigger, something.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, and I don't want to belabor on this point, but you do bring up a very valid point, Christina, and I know all of you are probably like, yes and yes. We talked about that on the call yesterday, and I don't know, that I'm like a year and a half in with Beachbody, and I think that is a huge opportunity for us corporately, is that recognition component. I 100% agree, because the vast majority of you, when you came on, or your coaches came on for the recognition component. A lot of you did. Granted, some of you came on for various reasons, community, whatever. But at the end of the day, recognition is a huge component for your coaches that enrolled with you. So Christina, I hear you wholeheartedly. I don't know what we're going to be able to change, at least, so far this year. But that is, I have a call with Michael actually tomorrow night, Michael Neiman, and I will bring this up to him. I mean, I think you guys know, I do follow up on your suggestions and your feedback. So I will absolutely bring this up to see what we can do. So valid point for sure. Absolutely. Of course. Okay. We've got 5 minutes. Does anyone want to share anything else that's working, not working, or you've got questions about? Well, we've got 31 on the call. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Ashley, thank you so much for creating the document. You guys save that bad boy. If you haven't saved that bad boy, add it to your bookmark so that we have that. We'll continue to add to that. Thank you for doing that. Okay, if we don't have any questions, Morgan, Christina, girls, thank you. So good. I literally have like 3 pages of notes. Hopefully you all do as well. But really, really good. So thank you for sharing just your success partnership. And I love that you guys are 2 totally different in how you operate so differently. However, you complement each other so beautifully. So thank you for sharing that for sure. Okay, what else? Anything else? I'm just looking at the chat. Thank you. Okay, success partner. Okay, let's talk real quick next week. So we are going to have Samantha on the call next week. She's going to be sharing about how she invites to the coaching opportunity. And so she's going to share that. That's the topic for next week. And without further ado, ladies, that is it. Enjoy the rest of your week. I will hopefully see all of you next week, and I will send this recording out later on today as well. All right. Bye, girls.